Going into a new week in Bitcoin, just grappling with that $16,000 area, having many of you sitting on the edge of your seats trying to figure out, well, what is Bitcoin getting ready to do? I'll show you in this video. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit that subscribe on the way in. Let's jump into this Bitcoin video. Check it out, everybody. First off, before we get into really what's going on the zoomed in charts, we're going to look at the daily. We're going to look at this 6-hour chart. Very interesting. Is it no surprise? Is it no surprise that Bitcoin, as it breaks through and up above slightly those bull market doors, Bitcoin testing this exact 786 line that we've been waiting for so long on this channel? That is where Bitcoin has seen resistance, and it's no surprise to me, and it's exactly what we anticipated. So I have no worries right now in terms of whatever Bitcoin's going to do next. So let's jump into the video. Daily chart. One thing I just want to bring to your attention is this. So kind of in this upward move since March all the way back here, Bitcoin has just been in the series of just like, nice move up, consolidation, move up, consolidation, move up, consolidation. Now, each one of these consolidation areas, Bitcoin from a swing high, and we can go back to just this one in June, Bitcoin consolidate a little bit, right? This is a 10,000 plus Bitcoin all the way down to $8,800. That's a consolidation phase. But what's happening there is important. I just want to draw your eyes to that. We have a little bit of bearish divergence, right? And nothing crazy happened following, but you can see Bitcoin on this daily chart, we put in a swing high, Bitcoin puts in a higher high, and at the same time on the RSI, Bitcoin puts on a swing high, and that higher high up here, actually a lower high on the RSI. The same exact thing happened in July. Bitcoin puts a swing high and then a higher high, but on the RSI, we have a swing high, and then we have a lower high. And what that indicates and what that kind of is the precipice for is Bitcoin kind of coming back down, or at the very least consolidating in one way or another. And you can see this move for Bitcoin. That was you remember that was in August, the end of August into September, a pretty big move for Bitcoin out of nowhere. But you can just get a sense of Bitcoin at that swing high, many people bullish 12,500, and then we're sitting down below $10,000 briefly before you know it. So you can see Bitcoin, and the reason I'm pointing that out is because Bitcoin's doing something very similar right now. Bitcoin puts in, if you can see this, a swing high and then a higher high, right? And then on the RSI, we have a swing high and we have a lower high on the RSI. So almost exact same setup. And if anything, right, it just indicates Bitcoin absolutely is in a consolidation phase. Now, the strength of that consolidation phase, right? The amount that Bitcoin might kind of come down is up in the air, but we have some clues into what to anticipate, and that's really what I want to talk about in this video. And if you're just like ultra bullish and you want a bullish hype video, I'm going to talk about upside, so don't you worry out there. But this is very important because all of the clues on the charts state that Bitcoin is at the very least cooling down. So let's check this out. Let's look at the data. So this is Bitcoin on a 6-hour chart. Now we've been tracking really right here. We talked about Bitcoin needs to consolidate now. What's that going to look like? And we started tracking the symmetrical triangle. You see it charted here. That is still in play. Bitcoin broke the upper trend line right here. The target for this is right around $18,000. As you know, we've been tracking that on this channel. So that's in play. Now, confluent with this, now we have a new setup, right? And that setup is this rising wedge, right? We have the swing high, 1 touch, 2 touch to the lower trend line touch number 3, upper trend line touch 4, lower trend line touch 5. We have this rising wedge now in play. Breakout targets, so 19,000 to the upside. To the downside right now, we're looking around 14,000. So we have two things happening on the 6-hour chart. Very interesting. A symmetrical triangle, right? With basically probably 60% or so chance to continue to the upside targets. And we have a rising wedge, which has essentially a 60% chance or so to hit a downward target. So that's very interesting. That really brings us to this scenario where markets are torn. What's new, everybody? You're not going to have this just picture perfect, clear vision of what's going to happen next in Bitcoin. But again, let's follow the data. Let's follow the clues. Let's chill out. Let's be patient here. So what we're looking for now is this. What makes most sense in the current climate of Bitcoin and what it's doing? So we already know Bitcoin is testing the 786 of this macro resistance. And this is good. We broke through the bull market doors briefly the other day. I did a video on it. But we know historically, based on what Bitcoin has done historically, last time Bitcoin was at this exact area, right? Bitcoin was getting ready for a huge consolidation, and hopefully you can see that. I can zoom in a little bit, but this is basically post-2016 having Bitcoin breaking the same area, and Bitcoin had a huge dip. We talked about that very much on this channel. So in terms of Bitcoin potentially having some type of dip right now, it's so in play. So revisiting these short-term charts to get a sense of what's going to trigger the next Bitcoin move, we can look at these patterns, and there's other things happening on these charts, very confluent with these patterns and breakout targets. So let's do this. When we're looking at this chart, right, and we have bullish targets, 18,000, 19,000. Let's first visit those scenarios. It's in play. The patterns are there, right? The targets are there. It's in play. Bitcoin has been in this upward move. We know on the weekly chart there actually is still room to the upside, right? And let's go to the RSI. This is the RSI for Bitcoin. We have room for Bitcoin to continue to the upside before really getting into that very high risk overbought area in terms of Bitcoin. And historically, every time Bitcoin is up here, that is when there's pretty much 100% of the time been a dip, right? So this could be a scenario where we get one more burst to the upside and we hit these short-term targets. But at that moment, everybody, Bitcoin will be very overbought. And historically, that will be a time where most likely we're going to get a nice big dip. Maybe history won't repeat itself this first time, but it's very, very, I would say, likely. And that's what I think would happen. So that's Bitcoin to the upside. So, buckle up. If it's getting ready to happen, enjoy it, right? I don't know how you want to play it right now. Buying right now, for me, it's a little bit too high risk, right? I like to buy the dips. If you've been watching my new YouTube channel, you know that. But to the upside, we could be seeing another 20% move to the upside maybe this next week. It could happen. But what about to the downside? To the downside, we have targets to the downside. We're looking at around 13,500. That is the symmetrical triangle breakout target. And that would be a failed symmetrical triangle because we know we already broke the upper trend line here. So we're breaking the upper trend line. We have a busted symmetrical triangle in play if it comes down and hits that target. So 13,500 or so. And then the rising wedge, we have basically 14,000 and a little bit higher than 14,000. Now, it's a really interesting area if you go over to the daily chart because we have a couple things going on now. And let's talk about this Fibonacci retracement because that's very important in terms of these breakout targets on the 6-hour chart that you're looking at right there. So back to the daily, we have our swing low that happened briefly at the beginning of November before Bitcoin took off once again to our swing high, November 13th, just the other day. We have a short-term Fibonacci retracement, and that is right here with a 618 right around 14,500 and a 786 right around 13,900. So let me just clear this off, and you can see the confluence right now of that area with these two breakout targets, whether it be the symmetrical triangle breakout target right here or the rising wedge target right here. There's a lot of confluence in terms of Bitcoin coming back down into this area. Price range wise, what that looks like from where Bitcoin is now, 9% to a 12% move, if not a little bit less, a little bit more. That would be a consolidation for Bitcoin. On the grander scheme of things, this could be another setup for some type of, you guessed it, consolidation pattern on kind of a more mid-term chart going into December. And I don't know if it would look like this exactly, but we speculate these symmetrical triangles so often, and so often they happened. But we can get other patterns, so keep that in mind. But to the downside, this is what we're looking at. And keep in mind, Bitcoin currently on this daily chart right now is overextended 24%. At one point the other day, it was overextended almost 30%. We know when Bitcoin is overextended 20%, we start watching the Bitcoin charts for some type of consolidation so Bitcoin can, or so the 50-day moving average can at the very least catch up to Bitcoin. And in a scenario where Bitcoin drops to a lower target down here, the 50-day moving average will absolutely catch up to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin might trade kind of into the 50-day moving average for continuation to the upside. That could be a move that we're looking for. And just to give you an example, we visited these, these previous swing highs for Bitcoin where we were looking at this this bearish divergence, right? Each time Bitcoin was making that move, you can just see from this 50-day moving average to that swing high, 20% overextended. From this 50-day moving average to this swing high, 20%, 21% or so overextended. Every time Bitcoin gets overextended, 20% or more, be ready for some type of just, if not pullback, if not just crazy, dip, just some type of consolidation. And you can see how it played out back here. We're anticipating something similar now. So time will tell, right? Be patient. I really want to just discuss what's going on in these Bitcoin charts. There's a lot going on. I'm extremely, extremely bullish on Bitcoin right now, especially considering what it's done in this last week alone. There's so much room, and I know this is a messy weekly chart, but Bitcoin, as it tests those bull market doors, we broke through slightly. It's okay if Bitcoin comes back down, and at the very least, just the craziest of crazy scenarios, the 20-week moving average down here around 11,500, we might consolidate into that, right? There could be a few weeks, a month of just downtrend where Bitcoin 20-week moving average catches up, right? Doesn't mean we're coming back into 11,000s, but we can consolidate down into 13,000s, 12,000s, give the 20-week moving average some time to catch up. Historically, that happens often for Bitcoin, even in a bull market. You can just see that green line, Bitcoin just touching it over and over again, and namely, very illustrative of where Bitcoin is. Exactly when Bitcoin broke through the bull market doors last time, it did revisit that 20-week moving average. So be prepared for a scenario like that, everyone. I know I'm not just the most hype Bitcoin YouTuber, but I'm telling you, the data is right in front of our eyes, and we can just remain calm, mentally prepared for every scenario. I hope you're having a great Sunday. I hope you have an awesome start to your week. I'll see you in the next video. Hit that subscribe and like on the way out. God bless.